Welcome to Meet the Moment podcast, produced by the Real Estate Business Institute. This podcast is an exploration of what today's industry leaders and agents need to know to be profitable, productive, and have fun. I'm Matthew Rathman, and I'm joined by co-host Kimberly Allard as we chat with thought leaders, brokers, and agents who can help agents meet the moment of change in the real estate industry.
Yeah, turn the mic up. I meet the moment. Let's go. Turn the mic up. Yeah, check it. Fresh kicks, notebook, coffee in hand. Market got loud, but I understand. Everybody talking, everybody guessing. I'm reading the numbers while they manifesting. Charts on the screen, dots start connecting. Less hot takes, more market direction. They say, how's the market? I don't hesitate. I don't vibe check, I validate. Referrals still rule, yeah, that's a fact. People trust people, data backs that days on market. Equity trends, I don't argue feelings, I reference. Went from the kitchen table to the boardroom seat. If you bring receipts, you don't miss a beat. While they freestyle fear and clickbait hit sign. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Yeah. Getting dirty with it. No guesswork, no vibes, just legit. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Break it down so the people all get it. Small beats loud every time I spit. Getting dirty with it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meet the Moment podcast. I am your host, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with our friend, Kimberly Allard, and we have a special guest for this episode, and we're super excited. Kimberly, how are you doing? Before we get to our guest, how are you doing?
I'm great. Well, I'm as good as I can be. I was out with our good friends in the Northeast Iowa Realtors yesterday and had some flight issues. So I may or may not have slept, but I would not have missed today's podcast even if I didn't sleep. So I'm very excited.
Did you do like some shots of Red Bull or coffee or something before we got started?
I may or may not have put an Oreo cookie in my coffee this morning.
That sounds absolutely disgusting.
Because I'm conscious about my health, I put in the no sugar creamer, which I find disgusting. So then I throw in an Oreo cookie to add the sugar, and I think somehow I'm beating the system. But I mean, we could probably cut that out of the podcast.
Oh, no, we're not cutting that out. And I will share, because you're being so forthright, that I have a trainer who's half my age. That's big. Don't do that. If you take anything from this episode, don't get a trainer half your age. They don't understand, and they're trying to kill you. But right. The good news is there's now more than one suspect in my death. It used to be just my wife, because 32 years with me is justification for murder. Now it's the 25-year-old trainer. I left him yesterday feeling like I don't know why I'm paying him to do this to me. And then I met with if anybody here is on Ozempic, you have to meet with somebody every 3 weeks so you can lie to them about things and get more medication. And she was telling me about my workout and my water intake and all the rest. And so, all these people hate me, and I don't know why I'm paying them to dislike me in such ways.
Well, look at this. We're not paying you here, and we love you. So
I know, but look, I'm 50, and they're like, we can get 10 more years out of your life if you drop some weight. I'd rather die in 20 years instead of 30, fat and happy, than,
Good for you. You're setting an example for our listeners. I am going to offer some personal coaching and nutrition tips after this. We're going to start my own podcast.
With Oreos and cookies and coffee.
Oreos in my coffee. There's your tip for the day.
We just had a big snowstorm come through the southern part of Virginia here where I'm at. And everybody in the store was getting
milk,
coffee and milk and bread. I got the biggest ass box of Klondike bars and a case of Red Bull you can find. Because if I'm going to be stuck in my house, I had all the other provisions, but I needed something, to keep me awake, and ice cream is amazing. So I ate through that whole box in 3 days and then wonder why I have to go to the gym.
Well, you can be the first guest on my fitness podcast.
Cool. All right. Well, so we have shared way too much about our lives. So now it is time to get to our amazing guest. We are here with Dr. Jessica Lautz, rhymes with shouts, I've been told. No, we are huge fans of Dr. Jessica, and you'd think with the intro, when you say Dr. anything, but Dr. Lautz here, you'd think it's for our mental health. You would think it was somebody here to give us coaching on how freaking insane we are and that we need help. but she's not. She's here because she is a very high-ranking nerd at NAR. I don't know, Dr. Lautz, would you say you're a nerd?
Oh, I definitely am a nerd and work with a lot of nerds. Yes, I am in the nerd group. It's great to be here. And I'm loving all of the advice of how to make coffee better and how to stock up for a snowstorm. So I feel like I've achieved all of the goals that I need for today.
She's here because of us. It's not the other way around.
I'm glad that Kimberly puts Oreos in her coffee. I put Jameson. Dr. Jessica, what do you put in your coffee?
So I actually put Nuri protein shake in my coffee. So a little protein shake in the morning instead of creamer now.
Wow.
We were doing so well a moment
off.
ago, and now we're like, I do healthy things in my coffee.
I wasn't prepared for that.
I was not either. Not to say you're not healthy, just to say we were kind of expecting, like, I got to deal with realtors all day long, so I just sprinkle a little substance in my coffee to get through the day. Yeah, Bailey's at least, right?
All right, so she's gonna play it this way, Matthew. So we should probably allow Dr. Jessica to introduce herself and give us a little bit of her background, her role at the National Association of Realtors, before this just goes off the rails even further.
Yeah, but we need more information on the protein shakes too, so don't forget the important part. So, all right.
Well, Nuri you can pick up at Costco, and it comes in vanilla and chocolate. I think strawberry too, but that sounds gross in coffee. So I have been at NAR since 2007. I work in the research group. I'm their deputy chief economist and VP of research. And I honestly, I love my job because I get to explore the real estate market. I get to nerd out with data and understand what is going on with consumers and how realtor members are actually reacting to that.
Or overreacting in some cases to that. Yeah. We can say the things you can't.
Well, not if they're looking at our data.
So 2007, so you've been there for a while. So if I remember correctly, you've kind of gone through your academic progression as a staff member too, right? I mean, you're, the all-knowing doctor now. So you kind of got to do this over a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a master's when I joined NAR in public policy, but then I really wanted to dive deep. And so I got my doctorate of real estate in the UK from Nottingham Trent University. I was able to take my academics that I already had and my coursework that I had already done and then just go directly into my thesis and use the research that I work on a daily basis and really dive deeper and be able to do focus groups and advanced analysis in a way that I'm not necessarily doing on my daily job, but be able to achieve a doctorate that way too.
Okay, but let's be real. Did you look at Dr. Lawrence Young and go, if this guy can do it?
No. I may have gone to an academic conference and looked around and thought, if these gents can do it, I probably can too, but not Lawrence. Deeply respected.
Yeah, oh, he's great.
Don't pick on Lawrence. He's my guy. So did you know this is where you were headed or early on? I mean,
to our podcast? Did you aspire to get to our podcast?
Honestly, this was my end goal, is to be here. And now I don't know what to do after this. So for the rest of my day, I'm done.
She's going to retire.
No, when I first started out, I thought that education was really where I wanted to go. And so I actually worked at a couple nonprofits in DC looking at education, doing research on education. But then also I moved to a nonprofit that worked on caregiving. So thinking about multi-generational homes and how that all relates. So honestly, I think I took all of those skills that I learned there and moved to NAR, which is honestly, the home is the foundation for everything. So it relates to all of these pathways.
Yeah, 100%. I'm clapping on the other side of the camera. The home being the foundation is such an important thing for so many aspects of what we do. I wish I had a joke for that to make that a funny line, but it's such a serious thing. Even I can't find a joke for it. So, as you said, you've been at NAR for a while. Mm-hmm. Research is a big part of it. Development's a real part. Honestly, our reports are so great, and there's so many of them. I was kind of nerding out, and we're like, we need to put this on the podcast because I'm anybody who's taken my classes or Kimberly's classes, we're big into the NAR data from using it a tactical and strategic place as well. How do you prioritize which matrix, what things you believe are important to real estate agents? Because we can get data on like everything in the world, and trying to summarize what's really important to us and how we should use it practically is such a skill set. So how do you parse out what to do there?
Well, I mean, I think on a daily basis, the two biggest questions in the real estate market are probably inventory and interest rates. Is there a product to buy, and can people afford it? And so I think that's the biggest question on a daily basis. But looking broader, we also want to think about overall housing affordability, everything that goes into a home. We want to think about how demographics are shifting and who's actually buying the product that's out there, who's working with realtors. We want to examine the relationship between realtors and their clients, and how has that changed over time too. Yesterday, I was asked a question. I was in Richmond, Virginia, talking to a brokerage. And one of the questions I got in the audience is, okay, how is AI changing how people are finding their agents? Well, it turns out it's not, because people are using recommendations. It's the same old taking that referral, taking the recommendation. But you want to be able to confidently say, yeah, we looked at that, and it turns out it hasn't shifted that.
Okay, as an AI nerd, I'm going to say, yeah, because we do hear like these kind of, hey, I got this, my own agents have said, hey, I just got this inquiry. We do thousands and thousands of transactions a year at our brokerage, and I've had one agent, get hit twice in the market for what AI was giving up. And that's really hard of a balance for us to say, look, there's no data that shows this is a significant impact. However, we see the path coming, and over the next 3 years, now's the time to do it. And so let me, this was not a question we talked about, but I'm curious to get your take on this. So with AI, and specifically, like, we've had other episodes where I've talked about this with GEO, specifically, like, AI cares about data points. So they don't really care about the love letter you wrote to the buyer on your website. You still need to do that. AI is more concerned about the data the consumer wrote about you on a review site. They're more concerned about whether your last 10 listings that it can find data about online sold under the market, days on the market for higher than the market price. Like, that's how that data is qualifying a good versus bad agent. What kind of data are we collecting that do you think AI will use in the future appropriately? I feel like a lot of it's kind of inappropriately used.
Yeah, there's lots of horror stories out there, certainly of AI. Now, I have to say that one of the things that we have examined when it comes to AI is how agents are using it. And I will say that they are embracing it in their marketing. They're embracing it as a tool. But at the end of the day, I think, yes, there's probably going to be some search on there because honestly, it's embedded in every search at this point when you're Googling something and reviewing something. What data points AI ends up taking, I'm not entirely sure. That's beyond my intelligence and my understanding. What I do know, though, is that AI is taking from the past, right? And so you want to make sure that what you have in the past, what metrics that you have out there, if someone was going to Google you in the past and find it anyway, you want to make sure that it's going to be okay in an AI search as well.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, even the people who are creating the AI go, we don't know what it is. We don't know what it's doing.
So I have a question. How about, so data is data, right? The numbers are out there. Is it a good warning to our members to say, look, we have Dr. Jessica who's interpreting the data. AI can be dangerous because if now you're then feeding it through something and you're asking it to interpret it again, it may not be interpreting it with the eyes of what you bring to the table versus, again, just a AI tools. So, I think that's important for our members to understand. That's what we have you for, is to, the data's there, but you're interpreting it, and that might be a safer bet than just randomly allowing some other tool to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is a great question. This is a question that I had in an audience recently too, is that I gave a 45-minute long presentation, and then someone stood up and said, I can dispute everything that you just said in every one of your slides because I can look at ChatGPT or I can run it through AI and dispute it. So how do you stand up there and give me these facts? I thought, okay, well, that was fun for me. How do I answer this question now? But I think how we can answer it, and how I would want to look at anything in front of me, is to know, can I trust it? Is this an honest data point? Is this relevant right now? Are we talking about the market now? Or are we talking about it 6 months ago, a month ago? Because it's an ever-changing market, and you want to make sure you have the latest and greatest. And you want to make sure that the source of where you're getting your data from, that you feel confident in that methodology. I'll use an example that there is a data point that is floating around social media, and it's been driving me crazy for a year because I keep trying to dispute it, and it doesn't matter what I say. And when I look at the methodology of the report and the data point that's out there, and I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want it out there anymore, it's based on 400 people, a survey of 400 people. And then you compare it to a data point that we have that's comparable, and our survey has more than 10,000 people. And you think, okay, so the source of that is not realtors. It's real estate agents broadly on an online survey versus specifically looking at realtors. And so you really have to know where that data is coming from, not just that was really good virally pushed on social media.
I'm guessing what the data is, but it is interesting when you go to any of these online surveys with other realtors and ask any question like that, you get a mixture of people who have the time to answer a question like that, so not exactly the core group that we want to be addressing, and every other answer, even if it's not related to the actual question, is an antitrust violation. So those are just good clues to not get your data points or survey information from, say a Facebook group.
Well, but isn't this the problem in our society? It's where are people getting their information? And I'm not going to argue with what the information is and how somebody might deliver it, because that's their own issue, but where are they getting it to begin with? And I can't think of a more accurate source than why aren't people just going to NAR and looking at all of the data that's there? Instead, if your answer as a realtor is, I'm just going to go to some AI tool and come up with the result, and all the hallucinating and all of those other things, it's like, okay, yeah, let's start with the source. Isn't that what we tell our members all the time? Be the source of the source and don't make this crap up yourself. All right, so I have a question. Out of all the reports that you provide or NAR provides and you're behind, do you have a favorite one?
Well, my favorite's the profile of home buyers and sellers. I think it tells us a ton of information about who consumers are and how they're reacting to the market, how they're entering into the market, what they want from their agent, both on the buyer and the seller side. And all of this information is for you. It's out there for realtors. We want you to use it. This is a tool for you to use. And we've frankly been doing it since 1981, which is a very long time period to really hone in on solid methodology, to evolve that methodology over time, and to make sure that we have the best tools out there.
I do appreciate that it's been in 1981 and you said we, because I feel like the report started before you were born. But it's great that you were working so hard from your diapers to get these reports out there.
I mean, truly, it's actually why I was born, is to work on this report. Yeah.
That, I have to tell you, that report is nuts, because if you think about it, and, and I know, Dr. Jessica, we're not telling you anything you don't know, but, as a practitioner, and, I'm in my 27th year, I think, and even today, we still get the question at the holidays, in an elevator, at a party, what do you do? Oh, I'm a real estate broker. Oh, how's the market? What's going on? And you couldn't possibly drill down to that person's specific area in that 3-minute conversation. But if you've got this home buyer and seller profile where you have just said, look, nationally, here's what's going on, and you can give 3 or 4 powerful statements and leave that person, that interaction with, wow, I need more information. I mean, otherwise, where are people getting their data? How would you even begin to know that? So that report comes out. Can you just give our listeners who may not even know it exists, when does it come out? How big is it? Where do they get it?
Yeah, absolutely. NAR.realtor is where you want to grab it. And you can actually grab it for free for realtors out there. So this is a free tool for you to use. We're going to charge non-members, but for realtors out there, it's free. This report is available in our realtor store. It is an annual report that we do on buyers and sellers, and it's looking at their transactions that they had within the exact last year. We release it every single fall. And this is a tool that is more than 100 pages long, and it gives you a wealth of information. Like the share of first-time home buyers, we can see that they have dropped to an all-time low. But on the flip side, we can see an all-time high of cash buyers. So you can see this really divided market. It gives you a lot of clues. You can see the rise in single women, the opportunity to bring in single men. I will say that. The best way to tactfully say they have not changed their share in 40 some years. So we can really see a changing market and how people are grappling with that.
Is there a statistic in that report that has just shocked you? Like something that you went, wow, I needed to double check that number.
Oh, yeah. The first-time homebuyer share got a lot of attention this year because we had the share of first-time homebuyers has dropped to 21%. It follows last year's all-time low, and it decreased again. We know why. It's the lack of affordable inventory. It's the struggles that young adults are having saving for a down payment. It's on tons of podcasts. It's on tons of media. And we can hear it loud and clear from young adults. And so we can see it hard in the data. And the age of first-time homebuyers as a median has risen to 40 this year. That was the highest that we've ever recorded. It made us take a step back. It made us triple check the data over and over again. And we just kept getting it. The one thing I will say, though, is that we collect all cash buyers in this data too. And what we can see is that all cash first-time home buyers who are using inheritances, their age is much higher. But when you look at those first-time home buyers who are financing, the age actually stayed flat from last year, but it's still high. It's at 38. So it's not really that much of a difference.
Wow. You know, I'm as we're talking through here, I'm thinking about, I'm obviously a pro AI person when it's appropriately applied to what we do. And you know, the hallucinations like Kimberly referenced, a lot of it isn't hallucinations. The person who stood up during your session to say, I can dispute this, is an idiot. And you can't, I know you can't comment on that, but to stand up and
we want to know who they were.
Yeah.
We want to know who is the idiot. No,
it's, you know, anyways, I'm from Virginia with an office in Richmond. So it's a 50-50 shot at someone I know or but anyways, it
wasn't even in this state.
Okay,
I'm in Virginia too. It wasn't in this state.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. You have to say that, but I understand. No, no, my reason for saying that is to stand up and go, we have someone with a doctorate who lives and breathes this content, and I'm going to challenge it through what I researched is fundamentally the problem with where we get hallucinations is not understanding what qualified content and data is as applicable to the situation we're in. How we prompt and how we ask for this content is so very important. Knowing that the knowledge horizon for almost every AI tool is somewhere back in August of 2025, it didn't have this data. And this data, although available to us as members, is not fed to AI unless we sit down and go, let's put in these factors. Let's add these PDFs to our own local, non-public GPT and say, help me understand what's next. And I look at that because, you know, it's Kimberly, you were talking about the whole elevator thing, that this whole adage of, you know, what's your elevator speech? If you all can justify your value in an elevator ride, you don't have enough value. What I can do is know how to start that conversation from the data, because in the data, these NAR profile and home buyers and seller reports, being quote unquote number one in your office or your region never comes up as what the consumer was considering when they chose an agent. Right? It's about how you cared for me, my family. They help navigate and negotiate. They help, you know, price the property. And so framing how I answer the question, you know, what's the market doing or how are you doing this? I still think that this data should be how we frame connecting with the consumer for what they want to hear instead of the nonsense we want to spout off. I think it's important to look at things like, I think it was last year, I may be misquoting this, so you can correct me. If I'm not wrong, we had the highest percentage of consumers using agents than we have in a very long time.
Yep.
And so all of these nonsensical news articles about how, you know, the industry's changing, AI or the compensation challenge, we actually saw more consumers using us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we still see, and it's not only agent use that's still at an all-time high. It's 88% of buyers used an agent last year, 91% of sellers used an agent last year. FSBOs for sale by owner dropped to an all-time low. People do not want to do this by themselves. They don't want to leave money on the table. But it's also how people are finding their agent. It's still referrals. It's still that personal connection. It's still using someone that they had used before. Those are the top ways that people are finding agents. And so I think we ask a whole host of ideas of how they could have found that agent, even crowdsourcing on social media. It's abysmal. People do not do that. They do not want to sell their biggest asset, the place that they're going to live, and buy the place that they're going to live with a stranger. They want that personal connection, someone who had a good experience with that person.
All this, like I was just looking, I have all the NAR profile by home buyers sales reports back from 2006. And I put all of them the other day in an AI model and said, I want you to answer these 5 questions and show me the progression from 2006 to now. And, because I want to interpret consumer behavior as we've seen in the progression. And in chat, or the AI tool, Notebook LM, kind of did all this magic. And it's like, or you could just go to this page of this report that Dr. Jessica's already created for you. I'm like, but I wanted to be clever and do that. But it's, to me, this stuff tells the story of how to humanize what we should be doing. And I know it's data and some people find it boring. I find it intriguing to say, I want to make decisions that are based on this data. I don't want to make decisions based on what agents did in years past, because the consumer's changed and we have to keep up with it.
Right.
I will throw in there, your favorite report is the home buyer and seller report. One of my favorites is the remodeling impact report.
Oh.
Because I could sit down with a seller and they're going, but I did this thing, and I can go, yeah, but Dr. Jessica said you're an idiot. No, I wouldn't say that to them. But I can go back and say, I get you. I understand how valuable that is. But let's look at the data that's been gathered. And in a world where everybody is now questioning everything they hear for good reason, which is why I think a lot of consumers are looking for an agent they can trust, is because they can't trust what's online.
Yeah.
To actually get an actual data point from NAR being a trusted source changes the conversation. And I'm not the bad guy anymore. The data,
right.
The buyers are speaking to, qualified, competent interpreters. So I love, again, I love the numbers and the data, but I love the story it tells. What's the biggest, Kimberly asked you the biggest aha, but what's the best use of storytelling you've seen from a data perspective?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think if you can take a data point and not only say it in an elevator, but if you can go into a party and you can answer the question of who are the clients that you're working with, or how's the market, and you can actually use some of the data points. You can say, hey, did you know that in this local area, the typical homeowner has gained X amount of housing equity in just 5 years? People are sitting on a ton of wealth right now, but we know the flip side of that, right? Is that it becomes really difficult for a consumer to buy, for a first-time home buyer. I feel like that makes the conversation unique. It brings something to the table besides perhaps the wings, which better be good.
I feel like, and I go back, I think it's really important when we have those engagements, the elevator conversations, the Super Bowl, the holiday, I love it when somebody sees you that you haven't seen in your family for, I don't know, since last Thanksgiving, and they look at you and they're like, oh, hey, are you still a realtor? No, I said it that way on purpose because clearly the word is realtor, right?
TAH.
So they're like, hey, yeah, are you still a realtor? And I'm like, yeah, are you still a dentist? I mean, what? What is the point of this conversation, right? They clearly think that this is, just something that I'm going to hop into one year and out the next. No, this is my career and I take it seriously, right? So, but that is the opportunity there to sprinkle the knowledge and then encourage another discussion and a follow-up, right? Because you're not going to solicit them for business in the middle of a Super Bowl party or at Thanksgiving or whatever, but to drop an appropriate amount of knowledge to then have somebody say, you know what, I ask everybody this question and nobody has ever given me that type of data, because we know that, again, this data can come from anywhere. So now we've got that person that wants additional information. Again, we're talking about what type of perception people have of us. And we've been talking about being a little bit more thoughtful and maybe in our social media, instead of just the just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold, that make us look like one trick show ponies. How about, how would you recommend that maybe anybody listening to this podcast could take any of your data and use it in their business? What are some of the suggestions that you have other than just, a nice conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what I would love to see is that people interact with our NAR research social media feed. So you could be following NAR on social media, and I highly encourage that. But NAR research has our own social media feeds. I would encourage you to check those out because we have a ton of infographics, and we're putting it out there that you can actually use these infographics. Some of them are static, some are interactive, actually. We have a metro market statistics dashboard. That is a mouthful to say, but it is exclusive to Realtor members. It's behind a login. And that gives you more than 200 local markets. They're PDFs, but it's also interactive. So you can take the PDF if you want. You can take the images that are online. You can share that on social. And that gives you such a wealth of fast facts. So because Richmond data is off the top of my head, I will say that the typical homeowner in Richmond gained $175,000 in housing equity in 5 years, but you need nearly $100,000 to purchase a home with 20% down in Richmond now. So I think taking that kind of information, top 10 markets. What are the top 10 markets in the country? Do you live in one of those? Are you near one of those? Are you getting consumers from them? Are you seeing people migrate to them? I think all of those are really good social media conversation starters, but also in-person conversation starters too. But it also makes you the smartest person in the room. If you're being interviewed from a consumer, having this type of information, I think, is helpful.
I've always aspired to be the smartest person in the room. Unfortunately, I'm always in the wrong room for that.
Well, when it's just you and I,
Yeah.
you are.
I don't think that's true at all.
Hold on. I just want to go back to that. I don't know if our listeners really just grabbed what you said. We've got, and Matthew and I talk about this all the time, new agents and even some more experienced ones come to us and they're like, what should I buy? What should I do? Should I buy these leads? I'm going to hire this company to do my social media. It's like, oh my gosh, guys, Dr. Jessica just gave you your entire year of social media posts. Now, you don't want to just be posting data all the time, but you sprinkle that in with your just listed, just solds and a little bit about who you are as a person. And then, add this stuff for credibility. I don't know why we're paying for data for anywhere else. I mean, this is just huge. So again, just repeat. So we have the Metro Market dashboard with over 200 that people can drill down. And even if they don't live right there, they can at least use it to kind of encourage other conversations where they might even use another tool like RPR to do something more specific in their own area. I think it's huge, or at a minimum sharing. So Instagram stuff, the obviously Facebook stuff. So LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're everywhere. X, Blue Sky, we are everywhere that you are is NAR research. So all of that information is for you. And we have blog posts that are coming out nearly on a daily basis. So we always have, I would say, at least 3 data releases on a monthly basis of reports. Our existing home sales, our pending home sales, housing affordability index. Tomorrow is our metro market statistics for looking at prices within local areas. But almost every day, there is one of our nerds who are diving deep on a blog post. One of my favorites last week looked at home buyers over the age of 60 looking at active adult listings. So folks who are actually buying in those types of areas, which we know there's a ton of baby boomers right now who are saying, ooh, let's go and embrace this. Well, let's take a look at those consumers. And so they took a deep dive on this data, and they're doing all kinds of unique things like this on a daily basis.
So we actually may have taken some license by calling you Dr. Jessica. Like, is that a thing? Like, we probably should have asked you 45 minutes ago.
Oh, no, that is definitely a thing. Okay. It is all good.
So Dr. Jessica, you're releasing all this data. I am disappointed in one thing that NAR doesn't release, which is how middle-aged men can lose weight without exercising, drinking chocolate coffee, whatever it is. So this is this is totally a me thing. For years, I was using the Census Bureau flow mapper to look at migration patterns of consumers, right? I sound like I'm getting ready to launch into, wolves and animals and protected things, but they shut that site down. So is there somewhere where we can get qualified information about that? I mean, even that data was a little dated by the time it got to us, but is there anything that we can use to find that?
Yes. Our Economist Outlook blog. So plugging our blog again, our economists there do a great job. So Nadia Evangelo, really leading that team and looking at migration patterns. The 2025 data was just released last week, so I don't think she's been able to dive into it fully yet. But she, even for 2024, has a great blog post that talks about migration flow, where we're actually seeing a rise in population. It's not a surprise. It's the Sun Belt and the mountain states, and has been consistently. And I would be very shocked if that changes in 2025. But she always takes a deep dive on that too.
Is there any data to show that to show us that the TV show Yellowstone caused migration patterns to be altered? Okay, no, I'm sure there's.
Is it worth watching? I haven't seen it.
I don't know. It's a deprivation of man kind of show, right? It's good. I don't know. It made me go out and buy a jacket that I liked, but for the most part, sometimes it's just, I don't know. I like more positive things in my life than the drama that we see on TV now. Okay, so kind of getting back to this trend of being equipped. I mean, this is a preachy moment to say we're knowledge workers. That's what they hired us for. A 16-year-old can get you on Zillow, not well, but they can get you on Zillow, right? Or any of these aggregators. What we do, what we know, how we apply it, the creative use and the wisdom we have is very, very important to us. And staying up to date with this data. First of all, thank you and your team for this amazing job that you do keeping up with all of this stuff. I hope that our listeners are going, oh my gosh, let me write this stuff down. Like I was writing a couple of things down going, I forgot about that, or maybe I need to use this in a different way. What is a report that is underutilized? We've talked about like the remodeling impact report, the profile home buying and sellers. Those are very popular reports. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. What do you think is one of the most underutilized resources that you present?
Did you know that we have commercial local market reports for our commercial members out there, or for Resi-Mercial members? It's more than 200 local commercial markets, and it's looking industry specific. So looking at retail, industrial, multifamily, and breaking it down. So that's something that we actually update on a quarterly basis. And that information is all out there too. So I think some of these things go under the radar because they might be a little bit specialist, but there's a lot of people who do crossover of residential and commercial. And there's a lot of residential members who are trying to mix it up this year and are trying to look at new areas to learn in and to train in, and that might be worthwhile to look at.
That's incredible. I'm just, as I'll yield the floor to Kimberly in a minute because I know she has a next question wrapped up, but I'm just looking at the amount of money agency. And just recently someone was on, well, I won't say which one, but it was an association Facebook group. It's actually real well ran. But a person was like, hey, here are the 4 things I'm paying for to get data to make social media things. Which ones are you guys paying for? And I'm like, not a one of these agents and the actual authority of these, they didn't mention at all the actual authority that these data points had. And the rest of them were these overpriced companies that are giving old data and not so great content when you guys are already offering good data, good content. And with Canva now, I can quickly ramp up 200 posts in 5 minutes just by helping feed it the data you're creating. So this is not just about data to me. Again, we talked about storytelling earlier, and now we're talking about getting it right. Like paying for a service that's getting it wrong makes us look bad. We have individuals in our elected roles that will tweet or whatever they do to post something out there that's some random idea without basis. And now we've got hundreds of agents pontificating on the validity of the idea with not a single piece of data to back them up. That's got to make you crazy, by the way. But
a little bit.
But so
you don't like it when people just make things up?
It's fun. It's fun. I like it more in novels than like in data points. Yeah.
So while we're on the commercial aspect of this. To me, it just wraps up the whole package because we have a lot of our members, as we know, a lot of realtors actually volunteer in their communities.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, how this could be used if you're a town planner or you're sit on your select board. I mean, even if you're not waving the realtor flag every day like some of us love to, how
Hmm.
could this data be used in local communities to be helpful?
Yeah. No, I love that. So 7 in 10 realtors are actually volunteering in their local communities. But if you are attending your local council meetings, which I would highly encourage to fight the NIMBYism out there to encourage building, because we know we are in a housing shortage right now. The two data points that I always go to that I think are really helpful for that local argument are one, that homeownership is a wealth building tool. At the end of the day, we know that homeowners have a net worth of $430,000 versus renters at $10,000. This is how Americans build their wealth. And so having more homes means wealth building in your local community. And the second one that I think is really important is looking at our state by state economic impact reports, because what we actually do in there is we say, for every home that is sold within your state, you are actually adding X amount of money. So Virginia, again, looking at $200,000 that's being added into your local community for every home that's sold. And you can take a look at that. Of course, California is going to be higher, Massachusetts is going to be higher, et cetera, where home prices are higher. But you can look at that and say there's a multiplier effect because there's tons of professions involved in that home being sold. Thinking about the movers to the painters, to the remodelers, etc., the basic home inspectors and appraisers everyone needs through that process. And as we look at that, that's an economic tool that you're adding into your local communities. And I think those two can be really helpful.
I, well, first of all, I appreciate that, and the resource is just huge because we've all, or if we haven't, we might have watched. But if you've participated in any local community type volunteers, you do get a lot of NIMBYism, and it's maybe partially because that's just how they want to see things, but it's usually because they lack the data. And to be the one in the room that says, well, the data might not point to that as being a good solution. And, we all have heard horror stories, if not experienced them personally, on things like transfer taxes and rent control and all things that without the data from the outside may appear to the consumer or to the resident to be a good idea. Once they look at the data and the research and dig just a little bit deeper, we can point to why these things aren't good for communities. And most communities don't have either the time or the money to produce this type of research themselves. So when you're the one in the room that can put your hands on this type of data and potentially stop something that would interfere with creating housing or create the wrong type of housing initiatives, then it's huge. And I think a lot of us forget that this data is prepared and ready for us. And now you just talked about the commercial. A lot of us are struggling with empty commercial properties after COVID and maybe somehow getting them to be approved as residential projects. And, to have the data of where we're headed and how that stuff can be best utilized is it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all there for you. And if your community is looking at adaptive reuse, so thinking about those vacant commercial buildings and what to do about them, we actually do have some reports that looked at examples within local communities, because a lot of time those city planners are going to say, well, has anyone else done this? Why should we do this? Why should we go out on a limb and think about these vacant hotel motels or residential malls? We have reports on that, so they can look at the case studies of where it has successfully worked, and look at those residential units have been added into those local communities.
Dr. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about, obviously you have, and I don't even know how it happened. It just did. You've become a little bit of a celebrity at NAR, right? You've got such a great stage presence. If somebody hasn't seen Dr. Jessica, you're funny. The comments you make are just, your timing is good. You've got such a great stage presence. So you've become a little bit of a celebrity. Now, that's a huge compliment because Lawrence Yun obviously has his own great following, but he is funny and smart in his own way. And you two are completely different, but yet both brilliant. As much as I'd love to give you guys 100% of the credit, tell us about your research department and how many people are there, and give us a glimpse at really what's behind that at NAR, because when we're all scrutinizing, or I'm not, but when people are scrutinizing NAR and saying, well, what am I getting for my money? We have the best research department ever. So tell
Yeah.
us, our listeners, about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a great team. So we have an economics team that is looking all at how economics and macroeconomics are changing the market. So whether that's looking at GDP or jobs numbers, whether that's looking just frankly at housing data, so existing home sales and pending home sales, and housing affordability, migration trends. We also have a group of researchers who's analyzing what realtors want. So they're bugging you to do surveys. They are bugging you to do focus groups. Please do participate in that research, because actually that's how NAR is going to be better, is by participating in that research and hearing feedback from you. So we have a team that's working on that. We also have a team that's working on our public survey research. So thinking about our member profile, our firm profile, our association profile, our profile of home buyers and sellers. All of these reports, they are working on that. Our Realtors Confidence Index done on a monthly basis. So that team is looking at that. And then also under NAR Research is another resource you may not know of. It's our library and archives. That is available for you if you want to dig in on something. You need to go to your local council meetings and see how speed bumps, or see how school closing, or seeing how a casino being added into your local community, how is that going to shift and alter in property taxes, and what can we do about it, and is there existing research on it? They're going to find it for you, and they're great, and they have those resources for you.
So it's actually like not just a library, like a virtual library. It's actually, we have a librarian that will help people find this information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And she is fantastic. And she will, again, get nerdy with it and absolutely dive in and find you those resources so that you can attend your council meetings, so that you can go and do your job and be that advocate, or just do that in your local communities too. So.
I am disappointed that Will Smith has not come out with a "Getting Nerdy with It" song. I feel like, you know what? I think Suno and I are going to have a visit today about creating a "Get Nerdy with It" rap song.
Oh my God.
Okay, so in '80s, it's got to be an '80s fashion, because really that's the best of us. Look, I hear what Kimberly's saying, is that sometimes we don't challenge certain things, and I am a person who challenges, like, what's the value of what I'm putting in? I get far more value, and I have no problem saying that's far more value out of my association membership than what I pay for, and we collectively can contribute to that and get some of the great data like this, because what I love hearing is that how data and advocacy go hand in hand, and advocacy is like the biggest, strongest part of my value proposition for an ANAR, like why I have no problem paying those very low fees for that. But advocacy is both for the consumer and for the realtor member, and I think those are important things. Look, what we didn't cover is there is a ton, and we will get them in the show notes. I have them on my website as well. A list of the things that the reports and the features and things we have. One of the things that I was just looking at is in that storytelling, that data-driven storytelling element, is things that are broken down that agents may not have thought of. And I used this in coaching an agent recently who's like, I really want to focus on young families who are moving. That's what I want to do, marketing campaign for the year. And I'm all about the family and the consumer. Like, that's a huge thing for me, which is why this particular agent came to me and our firm was to sit down and do that coaching. I'm like, did you know that NAR actually has a page breaking down what it's like, the statistical things and the humanizing the data about moving with consumers? And at the end of the day, as much as that's where my heart is as a marketer, is with families, especially young families who need a little more help and understanding, and not the alienation of anybody else, but those are the ones that I've typically targeted with my overall marketing. To target those folks and then realize it's not always profitable. And depending on where the agent was in that time, going and looking at the data saying, don't alienate this marketing, but it can't be the totality of your marketing campaign for the rest of the year. The data helped us make that decision. You know, the RPR data, the NAR hyper-focused on a concept data, those things are great. And you've been great. Dr. Jessica, thank you so much for hanging out with Kimberly and I today. Our excitement for this episode was met and exceeded, and we love the stuff that you're sharing and how human you are when you're sharing this stuff. Can't get that from ChatGPT. I've tried. It's not. As a matter of fact, I'm going to rename my ChatGPT Dr. Jessica and see if I get better results. But, no, I'm not. That's creepy. We're not going to do that. But what did we not ask? What do you want to share with us and our members and our listeners that you think is a valuable thing to use from the data to build their businesses?
I would just reiterate following our social media, our NAR research, social media, I think is a great tool. Everyone is so busy, but y'all are on social. And so just follow along and you'll spot something that you're interested in. And from there, you can dig in deeper.
All right, great. Kimberly?
Nothing. I'm just thinking about all of my new tips and tools that I got, again, 27 years later. And it reminds me of like my business plan, right? You sit down, you do your business plan, and then you plan the year. And, reminding yourself of all the tools that are available to us before we even pick up a credit card and pay for something else. And I have always told new agents and my own agents, before you pay for something, try using all the tools that we have. So this is, to me, it's almost like dollar signs are running in my head because these resources are so valuable. They're so helpful. They're so accurate. And I just, I'm overjoyed with all the opportunities that I have and our members have. And again, hearing them right from you is just amazing. So I want to thank you. It's never a bad idea to be reminded of all the benefits that we have. It's huge. Thank you.
Thank you. This is so great to be on.
All right. Thank you for being here. We wrap up every episode with each of us sharing a tool, a resource. And of course, you've just went through a whole litany of them, but a tool, a resource, an app, something that will help our agents do their job better or that they will find valuable. So Jessica, what do you got for us?
All right. So you sent me this question in advance and I hate this question. So I have to tell you, because in all honesty, at the end of the day, I do not want to be on a device. And so I even slightly asked my husband, oh my God, I don't know how to answer this question. He said, answer it honestly, answer what you actually do for your mindfulness at the end of the day. And that is picking up a paper book and reading. Because I have to take a brain break. And so reading an actual paper book that's not on a Kindle, that's not on a device, is how I actually decompress. So I would encourage everyone, 2026, read a paper book.
So advanced economics, is that like what you're picking up?
A novel, something that is a brain break.
All right. So have you read A Man Called Ovi?
No.
It's great. It's great. You are not a human if you don't get a little choked up in a couple parts of it, but it's a really good story. It's I actually forgot the author's name, but it's good.
Last year, I finished a personal challenge. It was reading every single Pulitzer Prize winner in fiction. So I have not read new fiction, honestly, in a while. So I'm excited to dig in this year.
What was your favorite?
Oh gosh, I hate this question too because there's so many good ones.
I feel like I get this all the time.
With the Wind. Oh my gosh, the newer ones are great too. It's just there's a wealth of good literature. Yeah,
she recommends them all.
Yes. No, well, actually, frankly, not all of them. Some of them are really awful. Don't read the ones that don't have punctuation. Andersonville. Don't read that one.
Okay. All right.
You're all
no one needs 1,000 pages on the Civil War with no punctuation. I'm just saying.
Okay. One run-on sentence.
Look, I read the book that inspired the Hamilton play, and I enjoyed the content. It was somewhat self-indulgent, but like this is part of the podcast I'm going to listen to. I loved it, but I the writing was a little challenging to get through at parts. And then I read the other books that he read, and they were a little dense at parts of it. But good for you. So Pulitzer Prize, 50-50, giving it 50% Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, cool. But that's a good choice. I do. Kimberly and I talk about this. We enjoy a good book and a good paper book from time to time. Kimberly, what do you have?
Well, I think to stay within the theme of our podcast and Dr. Jessica, I would like to draw attention to, I'm just stealing her stuff now. I would like to draw attention to the Economist Outlook, 10 years of housing data changes, that was published on January 22nd of this year. And it talks just about that, 10 years of housing data changes. So, if you're looking for a big picture, again, I love this. When somebody asks you, hey, are you still in real estate and what's happening in the market? Well, you can start out with historic, and it's got some great charts. Median number of residential sides going back to 2015, obviously. Median days on the market, distressed sales, percentage of contracts that were terminated. Lots of great data. Certainly an easy read, but that's available. So 10 years of housing data changes. Go out and get it on nar.realtor.
And then print it out to read it, because that's the best way to relax at night.
Yeah, not download it on your...
A good 10-year data report on paper. Can't recommend it high enough. Okay, so mine is kind of revisiting, and I didn't look at our show notes to know how long it's been, but I've mentioned before, notebooklm.google.com is a free tool, some upgrades if you do pay for paid Gemini or Google Workspace. They have launched a whole new set of data analysis and question tools. And so for like the reports that Dr. Jessica and her team create, I have added that to a library. Again, I don't share these publicly because people need to pay dues and get their fees. That's what part of this for. But it now has ways to create infographics, and you can design them and you can give different colors and formats. And if you aren't for example, it can be, speaking of dense reads, some of these reports are super, super dense. And I have put them in there, created the audio version, like a podcast 20-minute version, to break down very specific content points so I can listen to it as I'm driving around to kind of give me some insight. It does mapping. It's just a whole bunch of data tools that are in there to really focus on what you need and ask questions in real time to get content back. To kind of help make some of those reports more interactive. So again, notebooklm.google.com. I think it's just a great tool to put with your local associations driving some market. Take some of these reports that Jessica talked about for the local market migration, RPR, and the profile home buyers and sellers. Put those 4 reports into one notebook and Notebook LM and start saying, help me be a better agent. How do I humanize the process? How do I reach these consumers? I think you'll be blown away by the content that's produced, and makes it a little easier based on your way of learning to get some of this data and save you some time. So that's mine. All right. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Jessica Lautz from NAR. We appreciate your time and all of your knowledge and all the work that you do before. Kimberly, as always, it's fun to hang out with you. And we know your flight got in just a few hours ago, so you're probably going to go take a nappy nap with your Oreo cookie coffee. It still sounds disgusting. I'm going to do it, though. I got to try it. But I don't know.
I'm all about health.
All right. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.
Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Yeah, yeah. Getting dirty with it. No guesswork, no vibes, just legit. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Break it down so the people all get it. Small beats loud every time I spit. Getting dirty with it. First time buyers feel the pressure rise. Cash buyers moving like they see the prize. Inventory type rates do they thing, but context is the real king. 10 years back, zoom out, connect the line. Markets don't panic, people do with time. I don't sell fear, I sell clarity. That's how trust turns into loyalty. Social feed full of just sold noise. I drop one stat, watch it change the poise. Not flexing wins, I'm teaching why. Knowledge builds brands money can't buy. Counsel me and NIMBY talk. I walk in calm with an economic walk. Homes build wealth, community grow. Drop one stat and the room goes. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Yeah, yeah, get it. Getting dirty with it. Back so clean you can't dismiss it. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. From the spreadsheet to the podcast clip. If it's data driven, I'm rolling with it. Getting dirty with it. Not anti-tech, just pro-truth. Eyes a tool, not the whole proof. If the source ain't solid, pause that take. Garbage data, garbage takes. I don't need hype, I don't need spins. I need clean numbers and human wins. When the market shifts, I don't get jittery. I get curious, I get nervous. dirty. Yeah, getting dirty with it. Hands up if you're done with the gimmicks. Smart agents out here really living it. Getting dirty with it. Get it, get it, get it. Getting dirty with it. Market literacy is the real flex, admit it. When knowledge leads business, follows with it. Getting dirty with it. Getting dirty with it. Less noise, more signal. Meet the moment still. Getting dirty with it.
The Meet the Moment podcast is a production of the Real Estate Business Institute, an affiliate of the National Association of Realtors. Special thanks to CEO Jenny Scheib and to Dan Shea, our editor and content producer. The views and ideas expressed in this podcast are not necessarily shared or endorsed by REBI. All recommendations made in this episode were merely provided as best practices. The practices of any realtor are subject to the Realtor Code of Ethics, the laws and licensing jurisdiction, broker policies, and competent legal advice. Visit www.rebinstitute.com for more information, resources, education, and upcoming events.